A very good evening, namaskar, and a very warm and hearty welcome to the Business Clinic initiative of Forum for Internet Sellers, Retailers, and Traders. It's an arm of India SME Forum, specifically created after the inclusion of retailers and traders under the classification of MSMEs. I, Sushma Morthania, Director General, India SME Forum, and FIRST, once again extend a hearty welcome to all our esteemed speakers and experts who have joined us this evening, our members and viewers who have joined for the Business Clinic series this evening with a special focus on grocery and gourmet sector. At India SME Forum and the division of FIRST, we are committed to helping and facilitating all our members, non-members, and subscribers of retail sector and the MSME sector to grow your business, to handhold you, help you, and facilitate you for any and all challenges that you might be facing in your business. And we would try and bring you most answers and solutions to all the questions that you might have for taking your business forward. Coming back to our today's focus sector on grocery and gourmet, I would like to share a few figures here today. Food and grocery accounts for almost 10% of India's GDP. Post COVID, grocery retail sales in India dropped by 34%. But in 2022, the size of the grocery market in India amounted to 656 billion USD and is expected to increase to 852 billion USD by 2025. The global grocery retail market size was valued at 11,324 billion USD in 2021 and is expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 3% till 2030. This sector employs around 1.93 million people, which accounts to 12.38% of the total employment of this country. India's exports of processed food was 7,408.64 million US dollars in 2022-23. India is ranked third on the list of leading global grocery retail as a grocery retail country. It's only its only leading countries are US and China. Some of the challenges that we have figured out that the grocery and gourmet market faces today is continuous demand of attracting customers, changing customer demands, retaining customers, keeping up with changing customer expectations, strong efforts in branding and packaging to be able to create top of the mind recall, encouraging digital and contactless payments, supply chain management. These are some of the challenges which we have listed in the sector. And in today's session and discussion, where we would like to try and find out answers to these challenges, I welcome all of our viewers to please post as many questions that you might have and answers that you are seeking. And we'd be here to respond to all of those. We are here not just for the sake of the session, but even after the session, we'll be very happy to keep creating a bank of all these questions which might serve as a pool of solution and a guide to all existing and aspiring entrepreneurs as well in the sector. So, with that, welcoming once again to this business clinic session with a focus on grocery and gourmet sector, an initiative of Forum for Internet Resellers, Sellers and Traders, an arm of India SME Forum, supported by BusinessWise and Kernel, which is our technology partner for today's session. So over to Shonit. Over to Shonit for introducing the panel, please.
Am I audible? Uh, so first of all, we express our gratitude to our Director General Susma ma'am for her welcome address and like valuable remark that what we are going to cover in this business clinic. So again, we all are aware that in today's business clinic, we are going to cover the sector that is grocery and gourmet sector. So without delaying further, I would like to introduce our esteemed panelists and the moderator for the today's session. So first of all, I would like to invite our first panelist, who is Mr. Vijay Katta. Sir is founder of Home Foods. Welcome, sir. Our next panelist is Ms. Aditi Madan, who is founder of Blue Pine Foods. So I would just like to invite Ms. Aditi Madan, ma'am, to this distinguished panelist and business clinic. Welcome, ma'am. Then moving forward, I would like to invite our third speaker, that is Ms. Amshu CR. She is the founder and chief executive officer of Thapashu. Welcome, ma'am. And then I would like to extend my invite to our next speaker, that is Mr. Beka. Sir is founder and chief executive officer of Kernel Finance.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello.
sir.
Thanks for having me here.
And then I would like to invite our next speaker, that is Akash Sharma, sir, who is founder and chief executive officer of Farmlay.
Hi everyone.
Hello, sir. Welcome. So again, without delaying further, I would like to introduce the moderator of this session, who is our president, Mr. Vinod Kumar, sir. Over to you, sir.
Good evening and a warm welcome to everybody for being here today. It's such a pleasure to have all of you here and to see you all online. Thank you very much, Shonit. It's been a pleasure to conduct the business clinic for the last couple of weeks that we've been trying to push this element of support that we are trying to offer retailers and small sellers in India as part of our continuous endeavor to be able to create a conducive, systematic linear pathway for people to grow and to take their business forward and to sustain their business. So thank you to all the panelists that took their time off today to come and join us. And I will like to, quickly go over to the questions. You see, one of the things that I know is that most of us these days are hearing this word D2C, which is direct to consumer, and a lot of us are trying to look at options of how do we go direct to customer. And at the same time, there are also people that I meet that keep on telling me that it is impossible to do business in India now that you have so many multinationals who are there, and all the big corporates are setting up, and it's very difficult. So it's very difficult to continue business and all of that. So all the experts that I have here, all the successful entrepreneurs that I have here today, it'll be a delight to know from all of them, what they have done and or how they have fared in their process of setting up. Most of the people that you see here on the screen are all young. So you can be assured that the younger generation is going to give a run for their money to the older generation that are still in business, but that are not looking at doing business in the new age with the new tools that are available. So I'm going to go over to Vijay. Vijay, you started your venture. Now, what sort of factors did you consider? Why you placed your product in a particular market, and what sort of modes of selling did you employ to widen your customer reach?
Right. Hi, Vinod. Thanks for having me on the webinar today. And I mean, it's a pleasure to be here. And I think before I delve into, how did we find the channels to which channels do we want to put our products? I would first like to, just take a minute there and talk about my journey. So we started Gourmet Foods 5 years back. Prior to that, I was a young professional working in the startup space myself, worked with companies like Nascom, 10,000 startups, essentially internet first businesses. And a lot of it involved traveling for me, wherein, I would take morning flights out, come back late in the night. And I think when I was working, I was 23, 24. And I think back then it was really exciting to, just go to airport lounges, splurge on company cards, and, just have a meal. And I think all of us would say we are foodies here because we are into food space. And so was I. And I think when this process continued longer for me, it started to slow me down. And next thing was to, figure out how can I make this better for myself, for my productivity. And I think that's where the quest to look for something healthy that I can just keep in my bag, have a quick bite and move on the go came in. And that's exactly the origination for the brand Gourmet Foods. And I think how I started, it was very simple back then that, we started looking at what products are placed in the market. I went from all retail stores, most of the good ones across the country, thanks to the work travel that I was doing while employed at other organizations, and collected samples from everywhere, what is selling, what is it that people are consuming, etc. And then I would go back to my office spaces, talk to my colleagues, friends, what is their plight, what is it that they're not finding they would want to eat, and at the same time, what is it that they would want to eat when it's 4 p.m. in the evening, or when it's 6 and they just have a quick hunger pang. And I think that's exactly when we found out that people have aspirations to eat healthy, to stay fit, but at the same time they end up grabbing a packet of chips, or something like a samosa or a kachori or something fried that they can find on the counter or at the canteens, because India is predominantly a market for fried food and people love consuming fried stuff, right? And that's exactly when we figured that we would want to give the same taste, same flavor, same and cater to the same food palette, but let's take oil away from it. And that's exactly where the brand origination for us at Gourmet Foods came in, that we do the same food, we cook the same products, we deliver the same flavors, but there's no oil in them, right? And I think that's exactly how our catalog looks. So we do more than 25 snacks, ranging from trail mixes with seeds, berries, etc., to dry fruits, along with Indian namkeen snacks that are absolutely oil-free, cooked in salt with no oil, butter, anything used as such, along with in-house spices, blends that we prepare to season the products, right? And now what factors did we consider while placing the products in the market? I think the answer lied in my journey. At the same time, customers that we wanted to cater first. That, if I have to shop something, I might go to a store next door or in my area maybe once in a week, but I would still resonate to order something right on my mobile phone. Everyone is carrying smartphones with 4G, 5G internet connection, right? And that's exactly where we found our answer, that let's go digital first. When we decided to go digital first, I think we had a lot of questions ranging from, should we do marketplaces upfront with Amazon, Flipkart, others, or should we establish our own website? Let's go to Shopify, let's set up a website, or should we just do sales direct with Instagram, Facebook, etc. So I mean, it's a clean slate when you're starting up. You have all options and possibilities in front of you. And what's most important is that how do you zero down to one of them? And I think for us, we did all of them at the beginning, to be honest. And I'm sure my panelists here would also agree to the same. We did everything from day one, tried to figure out where the sale is coming from, at the same time keeping a check on, what resources we have. So I think these were factors that we looked upon. At the same time, we also saw that, what is the convenience element that people are looking for when they need our product? Do they want to go to the store, pick our product from the rack, or are they more okay to just order it on their phone? And interestingly, I think when we started, it was still first month of our business. I still remember, even 5 years later now, that we didn't have a website just then. We didn't have our Amazon, Flipkart accounts active just then. But we still had a Facebook and an Instagram account and a WhatsApp service, right? And that's what we started doing, that, we started marketing ourselves on Instagram, Facebook in a very organic, non-ad format. And what we started seeing was that people got inquisitive. And that's where we found our first customers, through DMs, through, people WhatsApping us that I want to order your snacks. And we just had a PDF hosted on a Google Drive, and we would send that link to people. And they would just come in, order the products from there. We would send them manual. QR codes didn't exist 6 years back, but we would just ask them, just Paytm us or do something, and just make the payment to us. And I think that's where we found the power of going B2C, that sitting in Jaipur, where we are headquartered today, and back then, we could still get the products delivered to someone in Calcutta in 2 days, or go to Bangalore, or go to Hyderabad, go to Kashmir, go to Punjab. It's endless. And I think that's how we decided to go digital first in our journey.
Excellent. In fact, that brings me to one major question, which is that, is it that our consumer has changed over the last 7-8 years? When we are talking about this new age consumer wanting to order everything from the mobile, not even wanting to move, go over to the shop or do anything of that sort. So even if he wants to order from the shop, he or she wants to order from the shop, they would need the guy to be available, so that they can just text him or WhatsApp him, or send a message or order online or something like that. And that a lot of retailers in India are still not able to grasp this phenomenon, that the consumer has changed in the last so many years, and the consumers no longer want to just walk over to a shop and figure out what they want. But that might happen maybe once in a fortnight or once in a month, when you go to a large format store or a mall, and then you go and visit various shops. But eventually, most of the people, whatever they need, whenever they need, at that point in time, they want to order, then get it within 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. And that is the phenomenon that all of us have been tracking. So I'm going to go over to Amshu. So, before Tapasu Foods, what did you do to understand that which segment, which customer needs to be targeted?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me for this session. It's nice to say hi to everyone here, especially Aditi. Hi, Aditi. Tapasu, even before I started Tapasu, so I come from Karnataka, so I moved to Himachal. I recently moved to Himachal. So during that time, exploration was at the chart, and going deep into the forest, talking to different tribals, talking to different people that were there, the culture, getting to know their culture, tradition, was part of the research to understand what produce is available, first thing. And second thing is there a market for this produce? So to do this market analysis, I couldn't stay in the mountains anymore, right? So I had to go down, keep my foot in the cities. So that's where I reached out to places like Chandigarh, Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, all of these places, taking the essence of all these research producers that I had, taking them to the cities, taking them closer to the customers through pop flares, pop-up stores or flare markets or any of these markets that were there, and trying to talk to the customers, interact to them, and ask them, do you know what this produce is? Have you ever heard about it? And do you think you would eat this? If I would put this on your table, basically. And then checking that, do you know what it does to your body if you know about it? All of these things, basically. It was more of a conversation, trying to understand if people knew about it. Even though the books had spoken about it for centuries and centuries, I wanted to see if the common man knew about it in the cities. So that's where the research of going to the ground at both ends helped a lot. At the ground, in terms of farmers, producers, cultivators, it could be societies, cooperatives, mahila mandals, that level. And at the consumer level of staying closer to the cities, staying closer to consumer, understanding their food habits, understanding, trying to see who's that one person who would probably buy, who would buy it from me, basically. And successful, something that came out as a research project for me. It came out as an astonishing fact that a lot of people are very curious about new things, especially in Bangalore. Bangalore is a market that adopts to new things very easily. So taking these things to Bangalore became very interesting for me, where I was like, oh, wow, okay, there's a lot of people who want to buy this, So that's when I went to Himachal and I was like, okay, let's do more research, let's explore more about this. Let me try and see if I can make something for the customer who would probably eat it. Let's say during my research, a lot of people came back and said, oh, produce like Sibakton is very sour. So they would come back and say, I can't put this in my mouth. Can you make it more palatable for me? So they would come back and say me, I would probably would want to have it like a chutney for my samosa, or they would come back and tell me that, oh, I would probably do like a morning smoothie or a milkshake or something like that. So the customers, involving customers as part of your research became very important for us, where, as an individual person with an idea, I would go to a market and have my own brain purpose. But then the consumers would come back and say, listen, what you want to provide is not what I want. This is what I want. So use the same produce, but give it to me in a different way, basically, So that's where it became very interesting for me also to be like, oh, wow, okay, this is what the market wants. Let me do it this way. So being flexible, understanding that research is a ever growing and ever tuning process for us. And at the same time, making sure that this is, to come to a point that, okay, health and wellness market is where we fit in, took us at least an entire journey of about 2 years for us to understand, talking to everybody and anybody, and health, physicians, dietitians, doctors, talking to regular households, women, all of them, speaking to all of them eventually led us in, so that, okay, these guys are going to be the early adopters. These guys will actually buy from me, So that's where we understood. And then we said, okay, we'll develop product or we'll make packaging. We'll make this product interesting for my first early adopters. That's how the idea started tuning in for us, if that answers.
Excellent. No, in fact, it does answer a lot of questions, not only from me, but also a lot of viewers, because, the sort of questions that we came up with from people that wanted to join in and wanted to ask questions. I'm sure I'll get a list of questions from people, but, even before, in the remarks column, most people have written all sorts of questions about, how to start, how do you decide on, what product, where do you get it from, even the supply chain, where do you go to the farmers and all that. So, we have another star today, Aditi, And Aditi, I'm going to ask you, I know the answers, most of the answers that you are going to give, but I need you to share those answers with the viewers. You came out and you said, I am going to set up something of my own. And it was a process for you to finally come on and decide, okay, what I want to do. How did you know that this is the final product that you are going to make and sell? And how did you place your product across the various customer groups, even when a lot of us say, the product, for example, most of you may know, she's the Momo Mummy. That's the title given to her, the lady with the momos. We all know how tasty they are. So I'm going to let Aditi answer. So Aditi, please tell our viewers, how did you decide on the product, and how did you come across this segmentation in terms of which customer, what product, and how did you learn all that?
Right. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you, India SME Forum and Business Clinic, for bringing me in here. I'm a privileged fan of India SME Forum since years, and I've grown a lot as an individual entrepreneur, also evolving myself through a lot of sessions and seminars that I've been attending. So thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. So when I started in exactly to be very precise, after MasterChef India season 3 in 2013, there was a lot of skill sets that I had to learn and acquire more. Like example, if I speak about baking or some international cuisine, Japanese, Italian or something. But then when I came back to Jaipur, and I realized that there was a seed that was sown long back, about 18-20 years back, within me and my husband as well, where I used to miss a lot of Himalayan food in Delhi NCR while I was living here. So that very purpose of missing the Himalayan food, which is like more soul warming, soul nourishing, that I say, because it is less time taken to be prepared or cooked. It's more steamed and boiled and blanched, right? So that aspect was definitely there. But during Jaipur, when I was living there, also the stigma around the product led me to start this venture. There were multiple factors actually. The third reason being the wastage of agro produce that went into decay and wastage. So that was also one key factor for us to start with. So all these factors combined in with the strength of reducing the agro produce, converting it into a product by giving shelf life without adding preservatives, and using wide range of agro produce. What best a product could be other than momos? Momos meaning dumpling. So we use wide range of agro produce, and there is maida, atta, all kind of skin flours as well. So best product which is steamed, which is healthy. The choice you have is also frying, where the market is majorly dominated by potato based products, which is the only option is frying. Right. So all these factors combine to become a beautiful confluence with the skill set that I had as a Himalayan entrepreneur, first generation entrepreneur coming from the Himalayas, my staple food that I could place in the market, and also break the stigma that it is not a junk food or a fast food, right?
Very
So
correct.
to try to change the way India eats was the motto that I had developed when starting this. So when we started, we started completely with Horeca. Now, how we arrived at Horeca at that point of time, B2B manufacturing, right, was because the insights that came in from Jaipur customers, who are mostly stall holders and small restaurant owners,
Yeah.
they had to face a lot of challenges with the skilled labors. The skilled laborers used to run away or go away to their homes and then not coming back. And then in the menu, they have momos of varieties listed, and then they have to remove and say to customers, "Hamare paas momo nahi hai," and all these things. So that led to the also a stronger belief and faith that we can do more about the product, right? That there is demand. So there can be a lot of innovation as well. So with this thought, we started registered as a company in 2016. Though in 2013-14, we had done a lot of R&D and trial being in Jaipur. Then registered as a company and started from Delhi NCR because the market was majorly here at that point of time in 2016. The market was in Delhi NCR, where there was need for skilled labor, artisanal, handcrafted. Every shape has a different product of ours. So giving those customized experience as a convenience to the customers led us to the success of Blue Pine Foods. And thanks to our B2B customers, they have evolved us a lot over the years by giving us so much feedback and bringing in solutions. They have kept us on our toes all the time with a lot of innovation and variations with product SOPs, weightage, grammage, skin texture, the consistency, and everything. So that's how we have evolved over the years, sir.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Aditi. I mean, that was really helpful. I'm going to go over to Akash. Akash, we talking about everybody here is talking about food and something or the other to do with food. And most of the people that I talk to generally say that, this entire sector is, I'd say, saturated. There's no more space. And then we have IITians like you who come out and say, I'll make my own space, and there's still enough space in the market. The market can take umpteen number of more products. So how do you, decide that, okay, I'm going to get in the market and make way for your own product, no matter what people say about saturation and everything else?
Right. Hi, Vinod. Glad to be here and glad to meet everyone. And thank you for inviting me here. I'll probably start with a brief introduction. I've been working on this current venture now for almost more than 6 years. We started up, which is what now known as Farmlay. When we started up, it was an altogether different venture actually. So, we started as a B2B platform for dry fruits and nuts category. Now, why dry fruits and nuts? Because we believe that when we were kind of entering into this category, dry fruits and nuts was at a stage which was ripe for disruption, and it needed organized players to come into this. And we, at that point of time, were primarily focused on solving for the supply chain piece, which is basically ensuring that what the consumers eat, what the businesses package in their own private labels in whatever brands that that are present, whatever they basically package and use in their own formats is basically a good quality dry fruits and nuts. And it's a very distorted supply chain. It's a very long supply chain. A lot of products are imported from outside India. Some products are grown in India, things like that. And with that mindset, we basically started into this because I come from a agri processing background myself. My family was in mustard oil milling unit, etc. So while we were into this, I realized that, over a period of next 2-3 years, we started working with a lot of businesses, solving for their problems, etc. And we realized that there's a large scope of improvement when it really comes to the branded products themselves, because most of the players who are there in the market are not able to really supply a consistent quality to their consumers because of the constraints in supply chain. So for us, flexibility and adaptability to the market and to the whatever context and whatever feedback that we get from the consumers has been at the crux of the company's existence. So when we were there, we basically realized that, we needed to get into this because eventually over a period of time, if the company needs to survive long enough, we need to create a brand, because B2B business had its own constraints. And at certain point of time, we needed to, diversify and get into financing business, etc. for the wholesalers. And that was a different ballgame altogether. It was basically venturing into being an NBFC sort of a player. So we basically ventured and kind of, diversified and made our own retail brand. Once we did that, 2021, we started with the very basic dry fruits and nuts, etc. And again, we started distributing those products across multiple channels that we were already present in back in our B2B business days. And we realized that there was also a lot of demand when it comes to, for example, like Vijay was also saying, right? So there was a lot of demand when it comes to really healthy snacking products, and dry fruits and nuts is really just a very small subset of the overall healthy snacking product portfolio. So, over a period of time, and we had our own manufacturing facilities. We have, in the first 3-4 years, we established our own manufacturing facilities, again, because primarily we believe that in order to give a consistent quality to the consumers, we cannot just be dependent on the outside market. We need to get things in our control first. So we then eventually, utilize these facilities to venture and to basically adapt and make new products, innovative products. We have been, in fact, in the past 2-3 years of brand existence, at least, we have been able to innovate on a lot of products. So, for example, we made world's first pasta, which was made out of makhana flour. Why makhana flour? Because we used to operate our own makhana processing facility in Purnia, and we used to kind of feel that there's a lot of innovation that can be done because we purchase directly from the farmers. We get all sorts of qualities, and to give them the right set of to minimize food wastage, and to also give the right set of value to our farmers who we are working with, we need to ensure that all the product qualities that we are procuring from farmers are actually getting utilized in some format or the other. So we came up with makhana pasta. We came up with a lot of other innovative products. Our peanuts we have recently launched. They are zero oil roasted peanuts, etc. A lot of innovative products in the healthy snacking segment that we have launched, very centered around the the manufacturing capabilities that we had built. Now, to answer, I think in one word, what has really the uniqueness of the business in a very cluttered market. Every market is cluttered. Every market has hyper competition as of date, right? No market really does not have competition. So what you need to ensure is listening to the customers, listening to the market macro scenarios, listening to what the investor sentiments are, listening to what the market sentiments are, and keep pivoting. Keep the flexibility to change as per what the business really requires and needs. And what I believe is that we are 6 years down the line from where we had started. And I believe only 6 months from today is when we have really, got our product market fit established. So it's a very long journey before you get the right spot. But once you have got there and you have been, flexible enough to get there, then it's really a matter of scaling. So once you have got that in a very hyper competitive market, your sweet spot, what consumers identify you with, what consumers resonate your brand with. And it doesn't matter whether it's a B2B business or a B2C business or a brand business or a sales business. What consumers resonate with you with, and what is the differentiating factor they have in mind when it comes to your brand. When that is established, from there on, it's really just about scaling the business up. You're on mute actually.
Sorry. We got that, and now let me go to Becca. Becca has an experience of working around the world in Philippines, in Georgia, in India. So hearing all these entrepreneurs, Becca, what is your feeling? Do we have different challenges from what are there in any other part of the world? When we set up businesses, or when we set out to look at what market am I going to target, what is my product line going to be, and the complexities of setting up or finding the right niche and all of that. Do you find anything different in India now that you are operating in India also after your successful stints around the world?
I was also muted. Yeah, first of all, hi, and thanks for the question. Amazing to hear these experiences. So what I would say is, generally, the market and the current world has become extremely dynamic. I would say what's different in India compared to the other countries that I've seen, especially the Western countries, but again, also different from the other countries that I've seen, is these dynamics are much faster. And India is a much more challenging market in a sense, because again, all the areas are pretty saturated. So I would say it's the same, just a bit more complex. But on top of that complexity and on top of those challenges that comes with that complexity, you have this huge scale, right? So the scale that India has cannot be replicated and is not replicated and present in the other countries that I've seen, and basically nowhere you don't have this scale. So there's always this risk-return balance. So the harder something is, the higher the reward can be. So I would say that India is a bit more extreme in that regard. But amazing to hear from all of you this emphasis on flexibility, because I believe that to succeed, especially in this complex market, the first thing you need to do, you need to understand who is the customer and to make the best possible product. And to do that, like when somebody has an idea, when you have an idea, you have a dream, many people are very rigid and they don't want to look aside because they believe that idea, that customer, that product is the best, but it has no chance of success unless you are extremely flexible, unless you sit and listen to your customer segment, there is no chance of success. So I would say that in the beginning, the most important factor around the world, but especially in India, would be to be extremely flexible and open-minded. I would say, it sometimes hurts, like it feels like a baby. Your product is like your baby. So when somebody says the baby is ugly, like it doesn't make you happy, right? But you need to be comfortable with that. I would say that's extremely important. And once you get the customer segment nailed down, and once you get the best possible product, then it becomes about efficiency. And if you build efficiency on top of that, once you arrive to its product market fit that Takash was mentioning, I believe that then all the sky is the limit. And that's what I'm saying, that India can give these opportunities which are huge compared to all the other countries that I've been in, that I've worked in, or just traveled. So again, flexibility would be the first base to establish, and a necessary one, and then adding efficiency on top of that is what's going to differentiate from all the other businesses and to really reach the scale, I would say. So yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to go back to Vijay. Vijay talked about the fact that there is this consumer which is now available, and he or she wants to shop online. So how does a normal guy running a shop switch over to this new age, wherein he cannot wait for the consumer or the customer to come to his or her shop anymore, but he has to go out and locate that consumer or meet that consumer on his mobile or on some
Right.
other platform somewhere else. So what do people do?
Right. So I think it's a very interesting question, and I think most of the panelists here mentioned of talking to your customers, because I think that's the most important thing. One who's paying you needs your most attention, I would say, and I think that goes for me, for our business, for everyone else's business, be it a D2C brand or a B2B brand or a brick and mortar retailer around the shops, right? So I think listening to your customers is most important. Figure out what they want, how they want, what is it they're looking for. And I think when we start looking at that, that we're not selling a product, but we're selling an experience, it's exactly a very important step or a milestone that a brand or a seller can achieve in their sales journey. And I think factors to consider, I think, is data. Listen to your customers, have your data collected. Uh, and for someone who has a brick and mortar and wants to go online, I think COVID times are the best example to put forward, that how a kirana store next door, or how a vegetable seller next door, they just had a very simple catalog, or an image put catalog on the mobile phones. They started circulating around, told people that we'll come and deliver to your doorstep, and people would be more than happy to do that. And I think we did this, everyone else did this, the whole world did that. So I think it's very important to take baby steps. When you're building a brand, or I think when you're building an organization, you often get overwhelmed looking at what the bigger brands or bigger players are doing in the world. And I think being realistic and being grounded to your realities is very important. A very fancy high production reel or a video on Instagram might surprise you, or it might just fill you with a lot of fear of missing out emotion. But being grounded to your true values and what your product is really doing to your larger customer base, or even if you have 100 set customer base, right, is very important, right? So for example, in our case, we don't run very heavy production when it comes to marketing. Definitely, we are still a 5-year-old brand, building our own journey, building up on our own journey and the money we make. So I think it's not about having big influencers come in and market the brand, but talking about the real values. As I said at the beginning, that we do food which is oil free. That's our sweet spot, and we just want to keep harnessing on the fact. So what we do is we simply take a tissue paper, we just record a video, put our product there, and do a comparative video to tell people that our product is truly oil free, because you can compare one with the other. And when we put it across to people, be it through Facebook, Instagram, or through a simple WhatsApp DM, product sells, because that's exactly when people understand what your true value is, what you're truly delivering. And this is exactly what people also want to listen when they are looking at my brand, for that matter, anyone else's brand to whatever the product they're selling. Yeah.
Thank you, buddy. I'm going to ask Akash the same question. Akash, a lot of people say that, I am fine running my shop. I have a certain footfall, which is maybe 30, 35 people a day, and I'm able to make ends meet. But I keep on telling them that, unless you are going to sort of look at what else you can do to stay in the market, very soon you'll find somebody young enough taking over that market, and you'll be left with nothing else, because nobody's going to come to your shop, because the days of expecting that people will come and walk in is over. And the COVID has definitely made all of us realize that.
Right. No, definitely. So I think broadly, diversifying yourself and having a good product portfolio, having a good service portfolio is definitely very important. So what you always need to do, is, let's say, at least have a very diversified portfolio across different multiple categories, across multiple ranges. So, for example, as a retailer, an ideal product split for a retailer could be, let's say, 10%, 15% coming from a specific category, let's say dry fruits and nuts, 10, 15% coming from spices, 10, 15% coming from pulses, and the rest coming from different, beauty and personal care categories or something like this. Similarly, for a brand like ours, let's say, which is into the health food space, for us, when we were starting off the business, our dependency on certain very basic products like almonds and cashews used to be very large. Over a period of time, what we have done is we have, introduced more and more products, which basically has, of course, taken down the dependency that we had on certain specific SKUs. And now the de-risking of the business is much better. So, even if, let's say, there is, and in food categories, honestly, there are a lot of dependencies on raw materials, and in businesses where the raw materials are actually imported, the geopolitical risks, right? Some country bans the imports. Suddenly, you are, for example, out of almonds in the country, because almonds is a completely imported product in India. Similarly, some country bans something, and that product kind of is just not there. So I think de-risking the business from a product portfolio perspective is also very important. From a channel perspective is also equally important. So most of the D2C brands, of course, start as a D2C first brand per se. Our journey was slightly different. We didn't start as a D2C first brand. We started majorly from digital channels, and then we diversified into the offline channels. But whatever the channels are, the point is that, you might start with one channel. It could be D2C, it could be modern trade, it could be marketplaces, it could be one marketplace specifically. It is very important to very quickly, at least have 5-6 other channels in pipeline, which will over a period of time start, giving you substantial volume and substantial revenues. That helps you in two things. A, worst come worst, if let's say one channel is shut down, your business does not shut down with it. And B, it solves for you not giving monopoly to a certain channel. So what if one channel rises one day and starts to ask you for, let's say, if they're taking X percentage margins from you for selling those products, what if they start asking you for X plus 50% margin, right? Because their investors have, or their board has decided, no, we now need to at least operate at a 50% margin. You can't de-risk, you can't make your business dependent on those kind of risks. So you need to at least have some other channels. I think offline, at least in the food business, in the food branded space, is one of the largest markets and one of the lesser risky markets, because it's a very fragmented market. You're not dependent on any one distributor or any one retailer. There are multiple retailers and distributors and super stockists that your guys are working with. So on the product side, de-risking is important. On the channel side, de-risking is important. And similarly on any other thing. So for example, let's say supplier relationships. So if you are taking your packaging materials, your raw materials, etc., from any one supplier, it's always good to have at least 3, 4, 5 different suppliers, because again, we had a very specific case very recently, which we didn't even know about, right? So, for example, the global freight scenarios have dropped substantially in the past 8 to 12 months. What used to cost, let's say, 100 rupees for a container from United States to come to India, today almost costs 50% of it. But we never, because we were working with just some very specific suppliers, we didn't come to know about it. And we continued to pay a heftier amount. So, anything, logistics partners, packaging partners, right? Anything when you're working, you're not working with multiple partners, I think we are all putting the business on the list. So that is a very important, I think, criteria we should look for when we are at least scaling the business from 1 to 10.
Excellent. I'm going to go over to Amshu. Amshu, can we share with our audiences what sort of techniques does one apply for customer acquisition, for creating a larger customer base? Then the one, you might have a great product, you might have a array of products like what Akash did mention. You can do a lot of innovation and put it out there and say, okay, now I've got a great lineup, maybe 25, 30 SKUs or maybe more. But then how do you reach out in the current scenario to consumers and customers, and how do you acquire them? What sort of techniques do you employ today to get in more and more customers inside?
Tapasu specifically works in supply chain and value chain segment. So we work in creating these at the ground level for communities. More specifically into the forest producers and the lesser known producers, which is the revived producers or heirloom producers that we call. So when we speak of these producers, the uniqueness of these producers is such that they were used as a food intake centuries ago. So bringing them back into market and trying to get a market for this was the first challenge that we faced, right? So this is pre-COVID, right? Let's say 2018, 2019, when we were doing this before COVID, getting one customer to buy this, it took a lot of explanation, took a lot of knowledge sharing for them, took a lot of awareness campaigns that we had to do, speak about what this produce had, how would it improve for them, why would it benefit for them. And then again, for us, easy adopters always remained in the environmental friendly sector then, not health and wellness, environment friendly or environment conscious people basically. So these were the first place where we knew that, okay, these are the people probably who would care about this produce or probably who would adopt this produce. That's where we started, from a simple understanding of, the way they would think. The psychology of a customer is what we understood. COVID times changed a lot for us. A lot of businesses, it affected in a negative sense, but for us, it actually pushed us into the right set ahead. Our first set of sales started happening during COVID times, a lot of higher individuals. It could be the ministry, it could be the scientists, it could be the health workers, it could be researchers. Everyone started talking about the producers that we were working with. So it generally created a widespread knowledge pool. So it took away from us the awareness creation kind of a thing for us, right? So we had advocates who were talking about this produce, educating the masses in a larger sense. So it became easy for us that we did not have to tell anyone about Sibakton. Like, if I walk into a small town like Mandya today in Karnataka, which is a tier 2 town, and I walk into a bookshop and I tell her that, I have Sibakton that I want to sell, she knows what Sibakton is today. And compared to in 2017, where, I would go to a tier 1 city and tell this person that, here I have morel mushroom, this does this. Here I have rosehip, this does this. So the acquisition time was too high. The acquisition cost was too high for us. So, we reached a place where I started thinking, is this business even going to work? Is this going to, work for us in being able to sustain as a startup for so long, essentially. Then COVID became a place where we had to stop educating people. And now it became a place for us to refine, build channels, look into markets, look into different channel partners who would help us in plugging this into the customers. So when we started off, we started selling through our website, through our own website, through Instagram, through social media, through word of mouth, through our first circle. and our incubators had their own channels. So then they helped us in plugging these materials forward. But at the cost of time, we also realized that in a span of 3-4 months when we started selling in COVID time, I realized that exactly who's that one person who would value this produce and would be willing to talk about this produce, and at the same time will be willing to buy this produce from us at a particular price without any kind of negotiations or any kind of price cuttings specifically. So it became more of a restaurant or a like a chef industry or culinary industry. Basically, that's where we saw that there's a value for this market, and we started selling. That was the first business B2B channel that opened up for us. And eventually we realized that, okay, now it's time that we talk to retailers, because Himachal and Mysore, all of these are tourist destinations. We have travelers and touristers and backpackers coming in. Everyone goes away, so trying to tell a story in a particular way, because a lot of travelers like taking back souvenirs. So instead of picking sending postcards with a product, or like we're trying to do some innovative kind of thinking process for customers, and at the same time opening up different channels for our business. It could be retail space that opened up, it could be the online retail space and the physical retail spaces in these lesser known towns like Manali, like Dharamshala and Shimla and all these regions basically. And at the same time in cities it became easy, because cities people were looking for these kind of innovative products or producers. Specifically, we had physicians who reached out to us and said, listen, I have a customer, they suffer skin disease and we want to do this. And that became an application that opened a new channel for us. So this is how I think, essentially from us trying to fit into one market, opening up one market for ourselves, and then eventually that multiplying and the the industry itself showing a place for us, the product or produce itself showing a place for us with changing times, that the different streams have opened up. Now we are into B2B, we are into B2C, we're into retail, we're into B2C. So multiple channels have opened up for us, and we're trying to streamline each of these channels and churn out more, make it more refiner, and reach out more destinations and more pin codes basically. So we're working on refinement process right now.
Excellent. I have Tanya asking a question for Vijay. The question is, does the customer's comfort zone, which means getting everything they need at their doorstep, make an enterprise's journey more difficult, since it's necessary to be completely tech savvy in this current time?
Right. So I think it's a very interesting question, and I think I'll answer simply by giving how our organization is set up. Interestingly, we don't have even a single tech guy on our payroll currently. So I think that might help answer the question. But no, I would say it's not that. It's only about using, there are a lot of businesses and applications and, service providers into every bit of ops that an enterprise might need. I might give out an example from our journey, being in D2C space, when you have Blinkit delivering orders or Swiggy Instamart delivering orders in less than 10 minutes. We as a brand, 6 months ago, we were still delivering in like a minimum of 4 days or 5 days, shipping from Jaipur to deliver in Bangalore, right? And we were finding it majorly difficult of how to deal with it, because we have limited shelf life on our produce. We can't, interestingly, open a warehouse in Bangalore and keep stocks there, right? What it meant was that, let's just come back and again figure out if customers are okay to pay X plus, let's say 10% extra on shipping, get an air service delivering to them, and does that work? We did that for a month, and surprisingly, our D2C business went 20% higher, just because customers were getting orders quickly delivered. So it's not about tech. I think it's a stigma that if you don't have tech, you can't run a D2C business. Definitely, I think tech enables you from going from 1 to 10. but it doesn't stop you from trying out. And I think being flexible, as Becca had also said in the initial minutes, being flexible and pivoting constantly is very important. And it's not tech that would limit your growth as a D2C brand.
I do have a question for Aditi also. Aditi, this question is asked by Anand, and it says, in a crowded market, how do you differentiate your product and create a compelling value proposition that resonates with your target audience?
Yes, very interesting, right question, sir, because that's what we have been doing and trying to do since inception. How I would like to say, firstly, by serving quality and hygienic products to the customer, not initially not thinking of higher profit margins, but giving a service and quality with convenience and ease to the customers, primarily be our customers who are B2B, right? They are the major stakeholders in the ecosystem for us. And later on, for when we launched Yankees by Momami, one of our another sales channel, as Akash also said, that we have to have multiple sales channel, and I agree completely with that. So we have a space of B2B, B2C, that's the QSR, right? And then now we are entering the D2C segment as well. So besides that, we have other verticals as well. But yes, the Yankees by Momami also gave us a lot of insight about customer journey. Customer acquiring the product directly, because we were selling through B2B customers, they were giving us feedback about the product regarding the handling of the product and the feedback of the product to the consumer, right? We didn't know who the consumers were directly. So we launched our sales channel, that is QSR, in 2018, Yankees by Momami, from where we got a lot of insights, where I could really, as a promoter and founder of the company, interact daily with the customer, because I used to operate it from 9 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. in the night, and onboarding with Swiggy, Zomato as well, understanding different customer persona, had a lot of cuisines, that expertise which I had placed it down there. So bringing in a lot of innovation at that point of time. Initially in 2016-17, we had few products which are trademarked as well. Bauza is one of the key innovation that we had, a combination of pizza dough and momos. So it's about 45 grams size, and it's a beautiful combination, and customers love it, and we have it trademarked as well. So bringing innovation every now and then. Now we have hemp momos, which is one of our innovation, right, trademark. We have around 8 products that are trademarked, and we have already entered into the AI and IoT segment as well, inculcating to give customer delight, because there are a lot of feedback, customers because B2C customer is very difficult to handle, right? And I as a founder feel more secure with B2B, manufacturing, food processing, right? In B2C, what happens is there's just Zomato, everyone just comes and writes whatever they feel like or they have experience, right? So to hinder that process and to give more customer delight and more customer experience, and to understand more well the customer journey, also we have incorporated AI and IoT with food processing unit as well, and also the QSRs. Now we are putting everything into cloud, right, and the database, and understanding the customer journey and everything. So being innovative at all points of time have set us apart. The authenticity to the product that I bring along with my expertise, and keeping the authenticity, even bringing innovation, but at the same time keeping it as Himalayan as it can be, sets us apart. Being flexible, as Vijay and Akash also said, Beka also said, mentioned, being flexible is one key aspect that customers are there with you throughout the journey, right? So flexible to what their need is, what their demand is, how they want the product to be, right? We do a lot of innovation and a lot of sampling for customers who are very high-end national brand players, right? So we do a lot of customizations from them. So a product range example for B2B customers starts from rupees 5 rupees to up to rupees 90 per piece. Okay, so there's wide range of variation. So for B2B customers, we have around 15 to 20 products, right, directly with different skins. And for B2C, we have more than 40 variants. And for customized products like even dim sums and all, with the starch and everything, the skin, like the potato starch, and we have edamame and truffle oil example. So we do premium products also. So that gives us a way area to play, and that is on MOQ. So it is a safer aspect. So bringing innovation, yes, bringing in technology, bringing in diversity, and yeah, also going with the flow of what the young generation is demanding has kept us apart, and definitely we have been able to sustain with the quality that we have given to the customers all these years.
Excellent. And now I have a barrage of questions coming in from all over. It started with a couple of them initially. It trickled in, but now there's lots of them. I'm going to take the ones that are in line with what we've discussed. There's a question for Akash from Vimal. It says that in what ways do you gather and analyze customer feedback and using CRMs to continuously improve not just the customer experience but also the business growth?
Oh, I think that's a good question. So we have our D2C channel, our website channel that we primarily use only for this purpose. We don't do a lot of sales through our D2C channel, but let's say there are 1,000, 2,000 consumers who we are reaching out to. Every month, for every single SKU that we sell, we track our NPS score, which basically means that out of 100 customers we speak to, how many customers will actually go in the market and promote our product, right? How many customers will be okay that, I won't promote, I won't detract, but it's an okay product, and how many customers will actually go out there and say, don't buy this product. So generally, any score which is greater than 75% is a good score. So for every SKU that we are keeping, we want to keep our score on all these SKUs greater than 75%. That is one. Then using technology also, right? So for example, every WhatsApp bots are now a very generally used technology. So whoever customer we are delivering our products to, we send them this WhatsApp message wherein we ask for their feedback. Positive feedbacks probably people won't come very forward and give, but the negative feedbacks we definitely gather from there. So if there is any negative feedback or any product improvement that we have to do, we very kind of quickly take it up from there. Also, we ensure that we do at least 1,000 consumer callings a month, gather this feedback on product quality, on product packaging, everything. We also have one more channel. So we are present across, let's say, some of the modern trade channels, and we have our own promoters who, keep interacting with the customers. Our entire team, including myself and, different people, we ensure that every month, at least 2 days, we are standing in the aisles of the modern trade stores, and we're actually speaking with the consumers, gaining their feedback in terms of pricing, competition, why they're picking us, why they're not picking us, what product they're liking, if they're liking our packaging or not, whether the product is positioned at the right place in the stores or not. So all these things, either directly from the consumers interacting with them or through the data of the consumers database that we have.
Excellent. That brings me to another question. Becca, you've helped founders around the world in various countries also set up, I think, half the banking and finance system in Georgia. So, in your sense, when it comes to digitization, do you feel Indian, second, third generation people are a little slow in digitizing their businesses, taking them online, except for the new generation? Now, this is the new generation that you are seeing. They are all gung-ho and ready for it. What about in your experience, what is it that Indians need today? Those that are in the retail space, in the food or the gourmet space, especially in the retail, mom and pop stores, people that are still holding on to traditional methods of selling. What is your sense in terms of feedback for them? Oh, Becca, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks. Again, I think the same issues we see across the globe, especially in the emerging countries, but again, it's really severe in India, I would say. So the older generation, generally not just in India, but again, is not willing to adapt and is not flexible. So they'd rather continue doing things in the way they used to do for the decades. But as the digital era is upon us, I believe that after years to come, only those are going to thrive who will be fast to digitize and automate, and that will allow them to really focus on doing business, because there are things that are done in a very, very complex way in India. Like just a small example, like for opening a bank account, I had to make around 400 signatures overall, like signing the documents again and again and again, like huge sets of them, which again, like you don't see in the West. But this is changing really, really fast. And the younger generation understands that, and they have openness towards innovation, right? So everybody uses a mobile phone for payments, for watching some short videos in their free time, or using WhatsApp for their business, etc., etc. So I believe that the huge issue that kind of slows India's growth generally as an economy, because again, small business is the backbone of every economy, especially India. And I believe that for its faster growth, it's really, really important for the small businesses to become more efficient, automate as much as possible, analyze their business, because without proper digital processes in place, you are literally unable to analyze your past or project the future, right? So those are really, really important things. But the older generation, I would say, is not that open to the innovation. I think the government is doing an amazing job in that regards, in terms of pushing digitization forward. And we know that like a few 100 million of Indians will get access to internet and mobile phones within the next 5 years. So that's going to be huge and promote digitization. But UPI being in place, which enables probably the best payment system, peer-to-peer payment system in the world, at least that I've seen, ONDC coming up, which will allow India to become a really democratic, digital, equitable economy, which will be first of its kind. And I'm really, really excited about that. I think those things are pushing the generally businesses to digitize, and that's a good thing. Like nobody likes the change, because people prefer to do things the way they used to for ages and ages, but they need to keep up with the modern world, especially after the COVID. And they need to be, again, flexibility comes here again, in order to keep up with the change, and in order to keep up the businesses going and competing with these younger entrepreneurs. Everybody will have to digitize, and everybody already is digitizing, but it's going to take more time for people who have been in business like 30, 20 or more years. It's going to take more time for them.
Yeah, I keep on telling them, unless you adapt, you change, you sort of, keep constantly on the lookout for innovating mechanisms to change your business, and the way you are approaching your business, the way you are reporting your business. Somebody else is going to come and set up next to you, and he will take over your business. You'll be out of business very soon. And this is the message that I have to our retailers and sellers constantly out there. I'm going to go to each one of you, and I have too many questions. I don't think I can finish them even if we sit till tomorrow morning. But I'd rather not go into the questions. But I'd like each one of you to give us, our viewers, our audience, a hang of what is it that you feel are the most important things when you are advising them to set up their businesses, to run their businesses, to grow their businesses, and to future-proof their businesses. These four things that I find are very, very important. Let's just start with Vijay.
Sure. So I think my entrepreneurial journey of 5 years, I think what's most important is focus, finding the right product fit, because we might create a product that might please us, but does that find value for the consumer who you want to sell it to? That's most important. And often when we are starting up, while we say being flexible is very crucial, but we often tend to miss out is establishing processes and establishing systems. So I think that's very important. If we do that from day zero, it really helps us go from 1 to 10 in the right way when you've found the right product market fit. So having that focus, having that clear vision, talking to your customers, and then having the right processes and systems in place to harness on all of this is very important. So I would say that, that's my 2 cents on this.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go over to Amshu.
Right. So I somehow feel that for any business, the first 2-3 years are very crucial, which is the foundation years, basically. So trying to understand where you would really want to fit in, do as many mistakes as possible in those first years, and take an idea, evaluate it, and rule it out. Take an idea, evaluate, rule it out, or adapt it, grow on it, or build more stronger foundations. Rather, that is one very important thing which I learned from my mentor, where he said that fail as early as possible, so you don't have to keep failing in a later period of time where it's going to cost you more, or it's going to take you to a deeper ditch rather. Apart from that, another important thing I would say is try to find the right people to work with. That is setting the right team, setting the right mind, people who will align with your vision, people who change along with the way you would want to adapt to the growing technology, changing times, and adapting different kind of processes, situations, analysis, all of those things. Try to find the team and do whatever you want. If you find the right talent, do whatever you can to keep them on board, and make sure they're a part of your core team. You involve them in making decisions, give them the freedom to talk, you listen to them, and give them the freedom to execute things what they think is right for their business, because their vision is aligned to yours as well. So I think these are two very crucial, is what I feel essentially.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anshu. I'm going to go over to Akash.
So I think one is be there for the longer term. Creating anything from the scratch and creating something valuable takes a long time. Well, it takes 2 years, 20 years. Really, stick in there and find the right product market fit. And once you do that, scale that up. But be there for the longer term. Build for the longer term. Short-term exits, short-term gains will also come if you are building for the longer term. Second is, I think, we have the right mentors in the team, like Amshu was mentioning. So the team is important. The right mentors are also equally important. So, we need to have teachers in every space, in every sphere of our life. We were glad to have, some mentors who really kind of, helped us across the journey. Even if they give you 10 minutes in the entire month, in the entire year also, if they give you just 10, 15 minutes, but those insights are valuable. So they give you at least a path and a vision to really work towards. And third is, I think, be very, very, focused towards the data insights. One thing that sets apart any brands and any businesses today, unlike the traditional brands, is the ability to gather the right data points. And once you have the right data points, the ability to act upon them, make an insightful decision out of that data. It could be in terms of the product, it could be in terms of the customer behavior, it could be in terms of the channel behavior, but data capturing and making data-centric decisions is very important.
Excellent, Akash. Thank you. I'm going to go over to Aditi. Aditi has a lot to offer most of our audiences, so she's been coming on our programs very often, and we keep on pestering her because a lot of people want to, talk to her. There's a lot of questions that we have for her, but we don't have the time, I'm sure. But I'm going to send all those questions over, Aditi, and most of the audiences would want you to reply to all of them individually. But whenever you have the time, we will conduct another maybe a fireside. Yes, please
Right.
go ahead. Tell us what is it that you feel our entrepreneurs need to do.
Absolutely. So I will do that. And firstly, when I started, I never realized that I'm building a very long-term value brand, right? So we discover ourselves more during the journey of uncertainties. That's the entrepreneurship's beauty. And entrepreneurship is a beautiful journey. I would like to tell everyone that that is like a reflection of mirror, which shows you your true strength and values as well. It's a testing time, but it is very beautiful, right? And with uncertainties, there comes a lot of challenges. And with challenges, actually, it's not setting you back, but it is evolving you as an entrepreneur, as a founder, more stronger, and the venture also. So the venture, along with the founder, is evolving to a pace which one can discover like amazingly, as I have also discovered myself over the last past 7 years, right? How I've come from a simple housewife, a Himalayan girl, to now being an entrepreneur, and many, many things. So, and the journey is on, right? So innovation is one key factor. With innovation, I would request all the entrepreneurs to build with tech, because tech is a very important aspect right now. Try to inculcate tech as early as you can in all sectors, even if you are food processing, manufacturing, or even any way, right, in D2C brand or any way. Sustainability, building with sustainability, a sustainable product is the key, right? Because it brings a lot of simplicity. Simplicity is has a greater strength, right? And with that, with all ethics and values, if you're building a brand or a product or an organization, that will stay there for a longer period of time, for more than 100 years plus, right? So I would request entrepreneurs not to run after quick money, right? And I don't believe in that, actually. So, and also creating a solution for larger audience, that is international. So think internationally when you're building a brand or a product, what solution you are going to bring it, right? How the packaging brand, that will give you the strength in focusing, being a number one player in the D2C brand in the domestic market as well, right? And being organized has helped me since day one. Why and how, I'll just quickly tell. So because if we hadn't had a private limited company when I started in Jaipur, and I fought for this with my co-founders and partners, हम partnership बना लेंगे. No, I said no way. Partnership has failed me, and I don't know even where that turnover is, right? So with being organized, having a private limited, having a GST compliance, and being a compliant company will give you a lot of strength, and a lot of places you will be able to travel and go, along with the government, along with the organizations and everything, right? So being compliant has helped me a lot. And not shying away from starting small and simple, right? I didn't shy away from starting with momos. Now I feel proud that I'm called as a momo mami. Chef Vikas Khanna gave me this title in 2013, and I proudly own it. So don't shy away from starting very basic, very simple things. You don't need to be looking for a hi-fi ekdam, something like bringing in something technology or product from abroad and starting something. Look around your resources, look around the problems that they might be having in rural sectors, around the society, so you can start from there. And keep innovating and having the right mindset and right co-founders starting from before day zero, because otherwise you will be managing your co-founders and not be able to manage your venture, right? So and believing 1,000% in yourself, because ultimately it is from you as a passionate founder, entrepreneur, promoter, that runs through the bloods and streams of the veins of the employees to the customers and stakeholders. So you don't lose that faith and believe in yourself, and keep striving for it. That is the ultimate goal and ultimate mantra. If you lose the faith in you, then nothing will happen and nothing will prosper. So please have 1,000% of belief and faith in yourself. That will take you places and make you successful with all the stakeholders and the ecosystem.
Excellent. We are so proud of you, Aditi. Thank you for saying all that.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to go over to Becca. Becca, you've been an investor. You run your own companies. So you've heard all of them. Now, what are the words left for you to tell our people? Aditi did talk about digitization in a big way, and she said, that people need to get oriented. Start from tech, because that ultimately solves most of the challenges that you have in terms of when you're trying to scale up, when you're trying to replicate your business models and all that. So, your feedback to people.
Yeah, excellent feedback that I've heard. Like, there's not too much to add on top of that. Just I will repeat in my own words and add a bit of salt on that. So I think that being obsessed with the customer is number one, and loving the customer and creating the product that delights them. This is absolutely the number one thing any entrepreneur should focus on. Then what comes next and also involved in the process is to experiment, test, and learn and evolve together with the customer, the product, and with the company, because this is extremely important. I don't think it's ever possible to succeed on a large scale without that. People is extremely important, which has been mentioned also by Amshu and Aditi, co-founders as well as the team. Like this is extremely important to achieving success. And after all of that comes the streamlining of the processes, building efficiency and scalability into the business. And this comes with digitization, compliance, all of those things, because in the early days, this might not seem important, but those things catch up, especially in emerging countries like India, where these regulations are new and pushing. So if you're not ready for the previous one, it will be harder to catch up in the future. But I would say two main things. One is persistence, which Aditi also rightly mentioned, that persistence, because there will always be bad days and good days. If you have half days are good and half days are bad, then you're in a very, very lucky, you're in a very good situation, because usually like it's a roller coaster all along. And what I would like to add, a bit different, I would say, is start small, but dream big. Because if you don't dream big and you don't have this grand vision of building something huge and enormous and creating this huge value, and you set a smaller goal for yourself, you will achieve that smaller goal, but then you will need to look for the meaning of life from anew. And if you set these big and huge, enormous goals of creating this value and delighting your customers, etc., you might not achieve that, but that will be much, much more fulfilling from the personal perspective than achieving a smaller goal. So that would be it for me.
Excellent. I'm so happy every time I talk to young entrepreneurs and everybody. I feel so charged that I need to go back and do more than I'm doing now. But thank you all very, very much from the bottom of my heart for sharing all that. From a country where entrepreneurs normally used to keep their cards close to their chest, we have developed into a country which is now willing to talk about how we are succeed, how we are moving forward, how we are growing, because we want everybody else to grow along with us. And that is the big change that I find in India over the last 20, 25, 30 years. And I'm very, very thankful to all of you for having spent your time here. And I'm going to take this and take it back to Atif in the studio. Atif, back to you, buddy.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having such an esteemed guest speakers today, and I'm sure everyone over here who is present for this webinar has learned something or the other, or has something to take away. It was a pretty insightful session that we just had, and very rightly said by all of you, India is a huge nation and there are so many opportunities lying, and also rightly said by Aditi ma'am that in rural areas, especially when you look at India as a country, it's such a big country and such a huge number of population that we have. There are just so many opportunities. We just need to look for the right resources and the right people. And I'm sure that many of our questions were also solved and many also left unsolved, but if we had time, we would have surely taken that up. And it was such a wonderful session that we had, and I thank all of you for giving us time from your busy schedule. We also have this business clinic webinar focusing on different sectors like for furniture, home decor, kitchen and electronic appliances, sports goods. You can get more information on our website, 1stindia.org. Thank you everyone for giving us your time, and it was a pleasure hosting you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.